Hello, welcome back to Uncle Matt's cookery lessons. I'm going to do braised ox cheek or beef cheek with some Colcannon and some charred leeks. It's going to be lush. I'm going to show you through the ingredients now. Recipe on the screen. I'll show you through these ingredients. There's a lot going on here. So to braise the ox cheek, they're obviously ox cheek. I've got garlic, onion, celery, and I've got some nice woody, hardy herbs. A couple of bottles of ale or beer or bitter. You could use stout, and if you really want to, you can use red wine. But we're going sort of a fairly British theme here. The Colcannon is a very Irish potato dish. I've got some Maris Pipers, bacon, cabbage, leeks, spring onions, and I'm using some mustard in there and some nutmeg. A lot of flavours going in there. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. But we've got hours ahead of us of nice slow cooking for this cheek. This is a cut of meat that is perfect for braising. It's obviously a very strong muscle because the cows graze all day. They're constantly chewing, which means the flavour is intense, but it's very tough and sinuous, so you do need to slow braise it. I'm removing the fat here. I'm not as bothered by the fat. Underneath the fat is the silver skin. That we want to get rid of. It will never be nice to eat. There's the silver skin. You can see me insert my knife under there. Just get to the side of it and then pull it through. Angle your knife ever so slightly upwards and try to do some clean strokes, and you'll get there. The reason why you angle your knife up is so that it runs against the inside of the silver skin, and so you leave all the meat on the cheek. If you turn this over, you can sort of do it the other way, a bit like skinning a fish, if you've ever done that. Or, if you want it done brilliantly, you go to your butcher. Can you take it all off for me, please? Can you give it a nice trim? And he'll say, yeah, alright then. I was going to say something else there that butchers might say, and I couldn't think of anything funny. Anyway. So you can see me struggling away here, getting off this silver skin with my knuckle covering up the camera angle a bit there. Sorry about that, folks. But you get the idea. And that is one cheek. They got a big old face on them, haven't they, cows? I'm going to turn over. There's a little bit on the other side, but I'm not going to do too much because I don't want to take off all the meat, really. It was just that silver skin I wanted to get rid of. And I'm not throwing away these trimmings. They're going to go in the pot, in the braise, to add flavour to the sauce that we're going to have with this. It's going to be lovely. And we just throw it away at the end. That's the point where I've decided to stop. I'm just thinking I'm going to cut it in half. Where do I cut it? Halfway or slightly to one side because it's a bit thicker? Yes, of course. We want them to be fairly even in actual weight. Just showing you the line of sinew down the middle. That is what will give it the extra flavour. But that's the other reason why it needs to take so long to cook. So a nice generous salt and peppering, and then we're going to be ready to start browning. So the vegetables, the mirepoix that's going to go in the braise along with it. I've got onion, garlic, celery and herbs. You could put some carrot in there, whatever you want really. It's not going to be served with the dish at the end, so it doesn't really matter, but those are your traditional mirepoix stock vegetables. I've got my lovely heavy iron based pan casserole pot, or Dutch oven as it's also known. So I want to get a nice deep brown colour on these steaks. That will add colour and flavour to the eventual dish as well. That's taken a few minutes. Okay, that doesn't look very nice. Don't worry, it's going to come out at the end, but that's all the bits of trimmings. I thought, let's not waste it. It's going to add an awful lot of flavour to this dish. Okay, that's a few minutes later. I'm happy with the beef cheeks. So, just get your vegetables underneath, cheeks on top. Get both bottles of beer on this. The whole point of braising is, if you want to define it, is you're slowly cooking in liquid, but it's not fully submerged. And that is just about perfect. There we go. My herbs go in. That is now ready for the oven. I've got my oven at 150 degrees centigrade. I'll put the equation in Fahrenheit. I think it's around about 300 on the screen. Oh, there you go. And that took closer to 5 hours. The longer you go, the more tender they will become, but eventually they will fall apart. So you've got to decide when is tender enough for you. I don't want mine falling apart. So I've decided this is the point. And this is just removing all the bits of sinew, because what I've made the decision for the sauce here, rather than pass this out, this is slightly experimental, I want to blend this as if I was making a soup. So the vegetables are going to become the sauce as well. So I'm using my blender. I've realised the liquid level is a bit low, it's making a bit of a mess. So just tilt the pan. Almost looks like a mushroom soup. But I've got to say, I was really pleased with it. The flavour was absolutely wonderful. Because of the celery and bits, I decided to pass it through a sieve. There will be a few bits in there that just will never really blend down and be smooth. So just get those through the conical strainer. I've been tasting it and it just was missing something. So last minute addition. Back of my cupboard. There's the old Bovril, probably 10 years old. No, actually it's not that old. Every time I feel a bit poorly, I have a hot Bovril. Oh, makes me feel like brand new. I recommend it. Anyway, so final taste of the sauce. I'm very happy with it. And now all I'm going to do is just keep that simmering away on a very low heat with the cheeks while I make the mash. So once you've peeled all your potatoes, get them cut up to even pieces, not too small. I start mine in cold water. Some people go straight into boiling. It's up to you. I'm not going to tell you how to make mash, really. So key components for Colcannon is got to have some greens in there. Cabbage usually. I want leeks as well. The rest of the leek I'm saving. I'm going to do some char-grilled leeks, which are going to be proper lush. You're going to be quite impressed, I think. That's me cutting those. They've got to be washed as well. I always wash my leeks, so those larger pieces are just going to sit in some water for about 20 minutes or so. I'll cook them later. Rest of the stuff, right? Some cabbage. I've taken the outside leaves off of a Savoy cabbage. You could use kale, you could use spinach, whatever you want, okay? But my particular favourite is the Savoy. I think it is lovely. So a few leaves, roll them up into a big cigar, slice them nice and thin. decided to go for some spring onions as well. I'm going to keep a little bit of this spring onion sliced up for garnish at the end. Entirely optional, up to you. And the bacon. I've opted again for a smoked back bacon. For some reason I decided to take off that fat. I probably didn't need to. It wasn't rind. It would have been absolutely fine. That's up to you, whatever you want to do here really. Just take your time, get it into really fairly even, small pieces. Right then, let's get this cooking. Hot pan. Good idea to start with the bacon. I want to get this to the point where it's getting a little bit of colour on it. It's going to go through the stages of releasing the water because this is a fairly cheap bacon. It's not been dry aged, dry cured. So they've had a couple of minutes of the bacon on its own. In go the leeks with the water. Feel free to add a tablespoon of water at a time, just a splash here and there if it feels like it needs it, because the greens like a little bit of steam to help them cook, in my opinion. And I'm just scratching at the way at the bottom of the pan there, getting all that fond off, get that flavour. It's all gold dust. So the leeks have had a couple of minutes. Get everything else in, get your cabbage and spring onions in. And again, I'm going to add a little bit of water to this. You could put the lid on if you like as well, if you have one. That steam will stay in there and it will cook much more quickly. I'm very happy with that. It's looking nice. Leave that to one side. As if by magic, the potatoes are ready. After I drain my potatoes, I do like to give them, in the colander, a minute or two to let the excess steam come away before you start mashing. Yes, that was a big chunk of butter. It needs it because it's got to be better, hasn't it? Trust me, I wanted to put more in. I didn't. I was under orders. If you feel like your potato's not completely smooth and gorgeous, that's a nice little trick. Go in there with a whisk. And now let's get the other flavours in. So, seasoning. That was white pepper. Table salt or fine salt. Big dollop of Dijon. These are all optional, by the way. If you don't like any of these things, leave them out. And I think a little bit of nutmeg, a certain je ne sais quoi. Very, very nice indeed. I've had a taste of that. It's gorgeous. I think this Colcannon is a winner. It's a smashing side dish, maybe even a dish all by itself. Depends on how you feel, but I'm very happy with it. I would definitely be doing this again. I'm just going to keep that warm for a few minutes because I need to finish my leeks and then we are going to be ready. This is my griddle pan. I think you need a griddle pan if you want to char grill leeks. If you haven't got one, you could just pan roast them. Be very nice. But these looked a bit special. So Those leeks have been soaked well in water to get the grit out. I've also drizzled them before they went on the char grill with a little light olive oil, a generous seasoning, and then take your time. Give them a good few minutes before you start to move them, otherwise they're just going to stick to the pan. Just testing there, it came away nicely. Lovely little bar marks on them. And what you can do, if you fancy giving these a go, is you can get them all marked up and ready to go, but not fully cooked, and just finish them in the oven. They only take like 5 or 10 minutes. It's one of those things that's very handy if you want to cook ahead of time for a dinner party. And they look great. They just felt a little bit dry there, so a bit of oil, but always be careful how much oil you put into a very, very hot skillet. It's going to fill your house or your kitchen with smoke. It's not very nice. Try to keep it to a minimum. I've popped those in the oven as well, so they had 10 minutes in the oven while I was getting ready. And I know you're thinking, what is this weirdo doing? Why is he cling filming a spoon? You will see. Saving on washing up, you see. Now actually, it's a little chef's trick. It's very nice if you want to serve up mashed potatoes and make it look particularly cool. So, cling film spoon, great big dollop of Colcannon, or you could call that a quenelle, and I think that looks great. Leeks are ready. As I say, don't worry, however you want to assemble this dish, it doesn't matter. I'm pretending I'm a good chef here for a minute. I've decided to put both cheeks on the same plate. You could probably get away with getting 2 portions out of that piece. Up to you. I am, after all, a bit of a greedy pig. And that sauce was definitely a winner. I will definitely do that again. I like the beer, and I liked blending the onions and the celery to help give the sauce a body, because I didn't need to use any thickening agents. No corn flour, no gravy granules. Very nice. This is just purely faffing now. Some spring onions on the top. A nice grinding of fresh black pepper. So, ladies and gentlemen, braised ox cheeks with Colcannon, char-grilled leeks. Delicious. Have a go at any aspect of this dish. You don't have to do it all together. Let me know how you get on. Thank you very much for watching Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons yet again. I hope you enjoyed this one. I've certainly enjoyed this one. Don't forget to check me out in the next video, which will be coming really soon. And don't forget to like and subscribe, of course. And that's just to demonstrate. You should be able to cut it with a spoon or a fork. You don't need a knife. It's lovely and tender. I'm very happy with that. Anyway, I will see you in the next video coming really soon. Bye.